All right, good morning, everyone. I would like to call the recommending committee meeting to order July 20th, 2020 at 10 a.m. We're in compliance with the open meeting law, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 3 is Bill number 2020-20 for possible action authorizes on a temporary basis a partial waiver of the origination charge for new restaurant service bar licenses, sponsored by Councilwoman Victoria Seaman.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Robert Summerfield, Director of Planning for the record. So this bill is actually mirrors a bill that was previously done in 2016 and 2017. It will authorize on a limited basis a 5/6 waiver of the origination fee for the restaurant service bar license. It's good through the end of this year to help promote that type of business, particularly given that with the COVID stuff, many businesses that are pure bars are having difficulties continuing to operate. This will provide some relief and allow them to convert into maybe a restaurant service bar option. With that, everything's in order.
Very good, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public want to speak on this ordinance? Close the public hearing. Thank you. Do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, let's make a motion for approval.
All right, we have a motion to approve Bill number 2020-20. Motion carries. That will be sent to the July 22nd, 2020 City Council meeting with the recommendation for approval. Bill number 2020-21 for possible action amends various provisions of the Unified Development Code to establish the circumstances under which on-premise signs with off-premise messaging are permitted in connection with certain non-restricted gaming establishments, commercial recreation amusement establishments, indoor, outdoor, and convention facilities. This is proposed by City Manager Scott Adams, and reading this, it looks like there's the ordinance 2020-21, and there is a First Amendment attached to it. So, Mr. Summerfield, go right ahead.
Again, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Robert Summerfield, Director of Planning for the record. So this amendment would introduce a concept called off-premise messaging to the city's sign ordinance. We have a specific use called off-premise advertising or billboard. This is different than that in that this takes existing signage that would otherwise be approved as on-premise and allows a property owner to use that approved conforming on-premise sign to have off-premise messaging. This does have some very specific limitations. This is not for just anyone to be able to do this. This is specific to our resort hotels and commercial recreation facility outdoor that meet certain requirements. It also has the ability for a convention facility, specifically a convention facility that meets a certain size limitation. In the original bill, we set those limitations. The amendment is for, and the city attorney's office can weigh in if I get this a little bit sideways, but the amendment will address some additional concerns that the billboard industry had with regard to the use of off-premise messaging on signs that face the freeway, specifically signs that would face the freeway from a convention facility. Again, the impetus of this bill was to create parity between what the city allows and what the county allows. The county did allow a bill just a little over a year ago that does allow the resort hotels and the convention center in the county to be able to include as a part of their on-premise sign package off-premise messaging. This will create that parity between the city and the county. They do require a master sign plan to be approved if they wish to do off-premise messaging. So it's not like they can flip a switch and just start doing off-premise messaging. If they choose to take advantage of these new code provisions, they will need to come through and show the city what signs they wish to convert to allow an off-premise messaging element to be included. With that, everything should be in order with the First Amendment. If there are any questions, thank you.
So that plan is just done administratively, is that right, just through your office?
No, a master sign plan actually does require at least planning commission action, and so they will need to get that master sign plan approved through a public hearing. So again, everything is transparent and very clear what signs would be changing over to allow for an off-premise messaging component. Again, it doesn't mean that they become off-premise signs. There are still on-premise signs, they just may include an off-premise component once that's approved.
So the planning commission signs off on it, and does it go to the city council also?
It may go to city council. It's not required to go to city council, but depending on the application and what ward it's in, it may come forward to city council for further review.
Anything you want to add, Val, or we're good?
Just wanted to add, like Mr. Summerfield said, the proposed First Amendment that you have in your backup attempts to address the concern of the billboard industry and says that on a convention facility that meets the size requirements, if a sign could otherwise face or be visible from a freeway or expressway, this provision doesn't allow that to. And so that's what you'll find in the proposed First Amendment.
Okay, very good. All right, I'll open up to a public hearing. Who from the public would like to speak on this ordinance? Go ahead and state your name, please.
Good morning, Jennifer Lazovich, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here today representing Lamar Advertising. Let me start by thanking everybody here for working with me on this ordinance, and in particular, the First Amendment. As stated by Mr. Summerfield, the genesis of this ordinance was to be on parity with the county. Unfortunately, with the way the city's codes and ordinances work, you can't get quite on parity. On behalf of Lamar, we worked for 4 years with the county to try to come up with an ordinance that would allow some flexibility for the resort hotels, for the stadium, and for the convention center. And it all hinged on the fact that all three of those entities, if you will, would be governed by an agency created by the state. So you have the Gaming Control Board, Stadium Authority, and the LVCVA. When you come over to the city, yes, you have the Gaming Control Board for the resort hotels, that's fine. Your stadium is not governed by a stadium authority, but it's very specifically addressed by 9,000 seats or greater, so it limits where that can be done. And then a last-minute request came in to add what amounts to a private convention center to be able to advertise. And that is why this First Amendment is so important, because it doesn't have any oversight by the LVCVA or any other agency created by the state. But it was claimed that the reason why it was important is to advertise businesses as people walked through the front doors of the convention facility. They wanted to see businesses, restaurants, whatever. And so under that theory, with this First Amendment, that allows for that to happen, but it doesn't turn it into just an opportunity to put billboards on the freeway. The only other thing I want to just note for the record, and the reason why it's important for us, is it was another big discussion item in the county. There's federal highway and federal law that goes to, as an oversight as to how far off-premise messaging that faces towards a freeway can be from other off-premise messaging. So it's important to have that out there, because by and large, across the county and even this city, billboard companies have staked all of those spots, and there's really no other way to add in additional off-premise advertising without violating not only NDOT requirements, but federal highway beautification requirements. So it's really not an option to even do, but it's important to put in there to really narrow what the intent of this is supposed to be and have it not be something that it shouldn't be. So I encourage you to support the First Amendment.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment on the bill? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Councilwoman Fiore?
Thank you. So with the amendment, I just want to be clear. I'm sorry, Mrs. Lavovich, if you would just nod your head. Are you in agreement with this and with the amendment the way it is? Great. And I see someone from Circa. Is Mr. Stevens? It's very important that our Circa downtown is perfect and get what they want as well. So are we good? And then I just want to be clear on one more thing with our market center, with our furniture store. Our market center, they can actually advertise what they're doing inside their market on that back wall to the freeway, like their furniture, if they're, right?
Mr. Chairman, through you, so yes, ma'am. So the furniture market will continue to have all the signage they currently have. So they are one of the few buildings that meets the requirements for super graphics, so they'll continue to be able to do their super graphics. They'll continue to be able to have the signage that they have now. With this amendment, though, they have signage that's on the Grand Central Parkway side of the Expo Center. They will now be able to include off-premise messaging as a part of that sign package. So they have, as a part of what's recently been approved, they have 2 LED signs that kind of bookend the main entryway, and so they'll be able to include within that signage the ability to have some off-premise messaging. But to Ms. Lazovich's point, and I do want to thank her because she's been very, very involved throughout this process trying to figure out how we can get through some industry concerns so that there wasn't a bunch of other people here at this meeting this morning
Right.
in concern about this. They would not be able to put off-premise messaging on the back side of the building, specifically, as she said, because there are federal restrictions on how much off-premise messaging can face a freeway.
Right, but they can put on-premise messaging.
Correct,
there.
and the
Okay.
existing billboards that exist that, on the backside of there that face the freeway, those continue to operate just as they operate now and are not impacted by this change.
And our precious jewel in the desert, Circa, they're perfect.
Yes, so again, as a resort hotel, as a part of their on-premise messaging signs, they will be able to include this off-premise messaging per this bill.
Okay.
And the D and the Grand and all of our other properties as
Okay.
well.
I didn't mean to sound biased, but we're just in the middle of building Circa.
All right, do you have one final?
Yeah, one follow-up question, and I think I really appreciated what Mr.
Say your name again.
Oh, sorry, Jennifer Lazovich, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. The way that I've looked at what this First Amendment does specifically as it relates to the convention center is World Market can continue to do on-premise messaging as they've been approved to do. The Expo can do on-premise messaging to the extent that they've got conventions in at the time they're doing it, but they could also do off-premise messaging on their signs that face towards Grand Central Parkway. That's the way that I've understood it in my mind
Okay.
and makes the distinction. That's why the 250,000 square feet to 500,000 square feet is very important. It includes the Expo for purposes of this amendment, but it does not include World Market for purposes of off-premise messaging.
Thanks for all the clarity, because this has been very confusing. So if you don't have anything, Chairman, I would motion to approve. And can we just, is it okay if we just, with Planning Commission, they just take it so we don't have to waste time on council?
Well, the way you explained it, it goes to the Planning Commission, and they do have final authority.
They have the ability to be the final action, however, as you both know, some council people do request things that may otherwise be final action at Planning Commission to come forward to City Council, so we can't limit that discretion of the council person to make that request, but it can be final action at Planning Commission.
My only concern is time frame with our downtown Circa and stuff like that. But,
Okay.
okay, hopefully it will be final action.
So
Okay,
that's a motion
to approve.
with the First Amendment?
Yes.
Okay, motion to approve with the First Amendment. Go ahead and vote. And post, thank you very much. This bill will be sent to the City Council meeting on August 5th, 2020, with a recommendation for approval. Very good. All right, number 5, citizen participation. Anyone from the public want to say anything? Okay, I will close citizen participation, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.